Welcome back. Well, I mentioned earlier that we'll be talking about something that I feel is, can be emotional, really, and it's nothing other than amputation and its effect. I'm not alone. I have got the Deputy Director of Nursing Service at the National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi, Lagos. Well, she goes by the name Emodi Mojisola Adepeju. That's the DDN. I'm glad to have you join us today.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here too.
Okay, well, we're talking about amputation. That's, coupled with this story that just happened recently about that young two-month-old child. That's quite emotional for a lot of persons. But let's start with the definition. What is amputation?
Thank you very much. Amputation could be described or defined as a procedure or an action taken to remove a part of the body, either surgically or traumatically. But in essence, it is to save life and to preserve health. That is why amputation is carried out in the hospital.
All right. Can we talk about the causes, some of the reasons why this will have to be done?
Actually, amputation won't be without a cause, and there are many causes to it, but we limit it to just few that we could handle at this point in time. On top of the list, we have trauma, which we call injury. Injury could come from different angles in life. We have those that are caused by accidents, where there are vehicular accidents, pedestrian accidents, where the injury is beyond repair, where bones, muscles, nerves, everything is smashed together. Even abroad, they can't salvage such limbs. We have also industrial accidents, where we have people working in molding company, bakery, where they have a mixing machine. We have those working in printing press, where they have the slicing machines. We have those working in various industries where machines with fan belts and all those things are being used. And some of inexperienced people are employed to work in these areas, and accidentally they may get caught up either by the slicer or the molder or the mixer or the fan belt of these machines. Before they could rescue them, much damage is done. And the way to save life and preserve health would be to do the amputation. We also have under trauma, the most traumatic, which is the one we just had, that is on the air now, the child of 2 years, 2 months here, that the father hit. That one, you could see that the father had to even do the management in the house, and the whole thing the hand got rotten before the patient could get there. And this is what we see almost every time in Igbobi. Patients have accidents. They might even come to the hospital at times. At times, they come to the hospital and they are advised that amputation will need to be done for them to be able to continue with life. Some will reject it outrightly. Some, after being contacted by the traditional bone setter, or where families and friends will come and brainwash them that when they get somewhere, they will do it by magic and the leg or the hand will be preserved. Some will even sign out of the hospital and go away only to come back. And at that point in time, there is no remedy. Then because they come back with smelling, maggot-filled wound that even the victim will be asking, please take it away that I may survive. And this is where they now nickname Igbobi a center of amputation. Rather, what they should know is that it is when the limb cannot be salvaged by any means that will result in amputation. That is on the trauma side of it. We now have another one that we call disease condition in the system, pathological causes. And in this area, we have those that have something like diabetes. Yeah. You know, diabetes is a systemic issue, it's a medical condition, but the part of the side effects or the complication is diabetic foot syndrome, which often develop because the person that is having diabetes definitely if they did not do the necessary things to make themselves to be at the optimal health by taking their drugs, by complying with the medical treatment, by living a lifestyle that is going to give them good health, and by not adjusting their lifestyle, like the type of shoes they wear, the places they go, the kind of exposure they have, if they get involved in any accident or wound to the foot and it's not well managed, they end up with a diabetic foot syndrome. And at the end of it, if they didn't come on time, it may need to be amputated. And there are those areas where we cannot really help a patient with tumor of the bone. You understand that this one could even be much more unavoidably, they may have to do the amputation in that case to save the life of that person. And we have those that are born. There are babies born with malformed limb. And these limbs, they can't stand on it, they can't walk with it, they can't do anything tangible with it. One leg may be okay, the other one can't be okay. I mean, it's not okay. In that instance, they are advised that let it be so that they can have the artificial limb to be able to go ahead with life. So these are a few causes. We also have what we call infection of the bone, osteomyelitis. The bone is a tissue, but it's the hardest tissue in the body. And we know that the treatment could be quite cumbersome with high antibiotic use, and after several curettage exposure to antibiotics and treatment, and it's not healing, patients are counseled. And if they accept, they have it done and they are able to move on with life, rather than being in the hospital every day, wound is being dressed and all those things. These are the few causes we could at least deliberate upon now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can we talk a little about prevention? Can it be totally prevented, or is it just about how you respond when the person probably had a trauma initially?
Thank you very much. Amputation could be prevented because in itself is a treatment. It's not a disease condition. So if we can prevent certain things depending on the cause, I said this at the earlier point that it's not in all cases we can avoid amputation, like the congenital cases, at least we know the tumor. But when we talk about trauma, there are a lot of ways it could be prevented. The first is that accident, we know that it's not planned, but we can avoid volumes of accidents on the road by ensuring that we have good drivers on the road and they are able to comply with the road signs and be able to caution themselves while they are driving, not to overspeed, and take caution that when they are driving, they are the only sane person that they drive for others. That is the training. So every driver should go through training of driving properly on the road. Then we have accidents that occur that there is outright traumatic amputation. These cases, we have seen many in Igobi, people driving with their hand outside the vehicle, downfall drivers moving with their legs hanging on the road. We have those that are exposed to this kind of industrial accidents, as we earlier mentioned. Those are the ones that we need to talk to the industrial system, that they need to put in a kind of act or guideline on the age of those that will work and the training they need to go through before they are exposed to operate some of these machines.
From what you have just said now, is it a case of child labor? Is that what we see in some of these industries?
We have seen incidents like that, yes. We have underage boys, girls that are working in factories. We have some that are even of middle age, but you know, they are school leavers. They are just looking for source of supporting themselves. And when they come, they say they want to work. You find some of this company will employ them, and the next thing is probably they are placed on night duty. In the process of carrying out their duties, not knowing how smart and how sharp these machines could be. Before we know it, we have seen all fingers gone, hands, and many like that. So if these acts are put in place, it could stop them from employing people that are underage.
Of course, we have laws that are supposed to address that. It's just that they are not being implemented.
They are not being implemented. So we need the government to look into that. It could prevent a lot. And those that are working with these machines, they need proper training. They're supposed to have their protective equipment with them when they are working, and they should be enforced that they should use them while they are on duty. We could prevent such with that. Then we also look at the area of tumor we may not be able to prevent, the area of osteomyelitis. When there is wound, they should endeavor to go to the hospital. And when there is an accident, the idea of let's go to traditional bone setters. Oh, I stand here and I say it boldly to anyone hearing me today that National Orthopedic Lobby is not an amputation center. We preserve limbs as much as possible. Even there are those that will come with a gosilo type of, let me use that is where wound that there's crush injury of bone, nerves, muscles, but we still manage to, once they come in, we treat it in such a way that we are able to preserve good quantity of that limb. Instead of taking them away, by the time they are coming, gas gangrene has already set in, extending from lower limb to the upper limbs. So all these are the things that we can do. Let them come directly to the hospital and not to go. Any injury that is exposed to infectious particles definitely will come with gangrene, and we will not be able to do much than to save that life by advising them to have amputation carried on. So there are a lot of ways we could prevent amputation.